Most people think the problem with studying is discipline. But what if the real problem is your brain simply hates how studying feels? Think about it. Your brain loves things that feel rewarding. Social media, games, even cleaning your room sometimes feels easier than opening a textbook. Studying, on the other hand, often feels slow, quiet, and honestly, kind of boring. So your brain resists it. Not because you're lazy, because it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. And once I realized that, something interesting happened. I stopped trying to force myself to study. Instead, I started tricking my brain into liking it. This started during a semester where my motivation was basically gone. You know that feeling. You sit down with your laptop. Maybe you open the document, maybe you don't. Then somehow, 20 minutes later, you're watching random videos or reorganizing your notes for the 5th time. I remember one night in the library. I had an exam in 2 days, and instead of studying, I was staring at the same page like it was written in another language. That's when I realized something simple. My brain wasn't refusing to study, it was refusing to start. And those are two very different things. Now here's the key part. Our brains hate large, unclear tasks. Study for 3 hours feels heavy, vague, almost impossible. But study for 5 minutes? That feels manageable. So I made one small rule for myself. I only had to study for 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure to finish a chapter, no expectation to sit there all evening. Just 5 minutes. Honestly, it felt almost silly, but something weird happened. Once those 5 minutes started, I usually kept going, because starting removed the mental friction. Think about this for a second. The hardest moment of studying is not the middle. It's the first 60 seconds, opening the book, reading the first paragraph. Let that sink in. Most procrastination isn't about the work itself, it's about the emotional resistance before the work begins. So lowering the starting barrier changes everything. But that wasn't the only trick. The second thing I changed was the environment. And this one surprised me. Most people try to build motivation internally. They say things like, "I need to be more disciplined." But honestly, environment matters more. For example, studying at my desk sometimes felt impossible. My brain associated that space with stress. So I started studying in random places. A quiet cafe, a library corner, even a different room in the house. Suddenly, studying felt lighter. Not exciting, let's be real, but less heavy, and that was enough. Here's another small shift that helped a lot. I stopped measuring study sessions by time. Instead, I measured them by progress. So instead of saying, "I studied for 2 hours," I started asking one question. What did I actually understand today? Sometimes the answer was one concept. Sometimes it was half a chapter. But focusing on understanding instead of time made studying feel more meaningful. Because staring at notes for 3 hours doesn't always mean you learned anything. And most students know this feeling. You finish a long study session, but somehow remember almost nothing. It's frustrating. So progress became the goal. Even tiny progress counted. Now here's the part most people miss. Studying becomes easier when your brain feels safe failing. Let me explain. A lot of students treat studying like a performance. Every practice question has to be correct. Every reading session has to be productive. But that pressure actually makes your brain avoid the task because mistakes feel uncomfortable. So I changed the rule again. While studying, mistakes were allowed, expected even. Wrong answers meant I was actually learning. And weirdly, that made studying less stressful. Think about this. If every study session has to go perfectly, your brain will resist starting. But if the goal is simply exploration, curiosity comes back. And curiosity is powerful. There's also one more trick that helped me more than I expected. I made studying slightly enjoyable. Not dramatic, not life-changing, just a little better. Sometimes that meant studying with quiet music. Sometimes it meant making tea before starting. or using colorful pens when reviewing notes. Small things, but your brain notices them. And slowly, studying stops feeling like punishment. It becomes something closer to a routine. And routines are easier than motivation. Let that sink in, because this is the quiet truth most students don't hear. You don't need to love studying. You just need to remove the things that make it feel terrible. Once the resistance drops, consistency becomes possible. And consistency beats bursts of motivation every time. So if studying feels impossible right now, try this. Don't force yourself to grind harder. Lower the starting point. Study for 5 minutes. Change your environment. Focus on understanding one idea. Allow mistakes, and make the process slightly more pleasant. Small shifts. That's all. And honestly, those small shifts can completely change how your brain sees studying. So, here's something to think about tonight. What is one tiny change that would make studying easier for you? Not perfect, just easier. Start there and let the rest build slowly. And if this helped even a little, feel free to like the video, share it with someone who might need it, leave a comment with your own study trick, and subscribe to the channel for more small shifts like this.